I'm Alice.
And I'm Greg.
And today we're letting you have a little peek of our new apartment here in Portales Sur.
We're very excited because we've moved into a new 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. It was completely unfurnished. If you've seen our previous episodes, you'll know we came from a fully furnished apartment in Coyoacan.
Yeah, so that was kind of scary. We did take inspiration from Backpacking Brunette, who told us to, well, she didn't tell us personally, but we watched a video about renting an unfurnished apartment. General consensus was that you can find furnishings fairly inexpensively. It wasn't quite as inexpensive as we'd hoped, but we were able to furnish by getting some used stuff, a few new things, some hand-me-downs, a combination of things, and that's kind of how we like to shop anyway. So that suited our style.
Our style, yeah. So this room is one of the few complete rooms in the apartment at this point. It does have, we just got our dining table in, so we're very happy with that.
Some of the places where we shopped were, we shopped at new stores, and we'll leave some links to those below because there's a lot of furniture that we didn't like. We did like stuff at Tamarindo, we liked stuff at Gaia. We found a few little new furniture stores that we liked. We also shopped at a store that refurbishes used furniture and donates the money for rehab programs. And we felt really good about buying some of our furniture there. And we also were able to get some hand-me-downs, as I said before, and we're really happy about that. I got some of my cousin's things who had passed away a couple of years ago, and I feel like she's in my house. I feel a certain warmth and connection to these things that she liked.
We'll leave some links to the furniture stores that we purchased furniture from down below. Okay. Another option for getting furniture here in Mexico City is to purchase it directly from people who manufacture it here. You can find these people on the street, sometimes selling their furniture on the corner or examples of the furniture, which is exactly what we did with these 2 burros that we're going to show you right now. And burros are not donkeys, they are bureaus or bedside tables.
Yes. And the nice thing about that is that you can have these things altered, whatever you're having made, you can have them customized and altered to your modifications. So if you need it to be a certain length or a certain width or a certain color, they can do that for you. And you're providing work for somebody who is self-employed. And it's a really good feeling because there's a feeling of pride of craftsmanship, which I really like, which you don't get when you buy something that's mass produced. So a little combination of everything.
So we're very happy with all of our selections so far, and our apartment is just about complete. I'd like to shift topics now and talk about some of the factors that went into deciding to rent this particular apartment in this particular location, because if you watched our video on choosing a new neighborhood, you'll know that we had a lot of choices and tough decisions to make on where we wanted to live in Mexico City.
Yeah.
And we ended up landing on a colonia called
Portales Sur.
Portales Sur. And it is a neighborhood to the south of Mexico City, not quite as far south as Coyoacan, but literally across the street from Coyoacan.
Really, we are 10 minutes from where we were before. We can still visit beautiful downtown Coyoacan very easily. And we are closer to some of the mass transit stations that we use frequently. So it's good in that way. It is considered a normie neighborhood. Which I really like because that's kind of where we want to fit in. We do want to be in the normie neighborhood with people who are, just
working normal. Yes, we want to infiltrate the normal people. We actually enjoy doing the things that everyday normal Mexican citizens do. And we prefer the types of places where normal Mexicans would eat and go. So that informed our decision. Portales Sur appears on this map that we're going to show you right now, which is a very interesting map that came to my attention a couple of weeks ago. It's called Hood Maps, and apparently they have these for cities all over the world.
And people can contribute to them, right? Like you can write your own opinion, like what kind of neighborhood do you think this is? And it's divided into like a rich neighborhood or a hipster neighborhood,
tourist neighborhoods, normal neighborhoods, and don't go there neighborhoods, which is very subjective, obviously. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Yeah,
it's definitely got a sense of humor, but there is some accuracy to it too. So I would take a look at it. Our neighborhood fell
firmly into normal neighborhood, which is exactly what we wanted and exactly what we thought of when we selected it. So.
And even the streets where we lived when we were in Coyoacan fell into the normie neighborhood because right outside of it there's an area that is very touristy and maybe a little bit hipster, and you can see that on this little map. So I think if you are thinking of moving to Mexico City, you might want to have a look and just see if it might influence your decision and it might not, but at least you have a heads up.
So one of the key factors in choosing this neighborhood and a normal neighborhood was cost difference. Where we were living before was a neighborhood called Del Carmen in Coyoacan, which is an older, very established neighborhood in Coyoacan. It's where Frida Kahlo grew up. So you can imagine it's a place with some very nice houses. We were renting there, but I would say on the whole, it's a more expensive neighborhood for Mexico City.
Yeah, it's not as expensive as, say, the really super gentrified areas like Roma Norte or Condesa, or areas that are affluent and have always been, like Polanco. Coyoacan was never a poor working class neighborhood, at least not to my knowledge.
Not that particular part of Coyoacan. I will say there are lots of parts of Coyoacan, and some of them are working class.
Yeah, but the area that we chose to live in was sort of an in-between neighborhood. It wasn't totally
super bougie, but it was artsy and it was upscale. I would say it was definitely firmly middle class.
Yeah. So we were paying 22,000 pesos there, which, if you average the cost, and this is a fluctuating exchange rate, but it was about $1,100 a month in rent. And coming from Los Angeles, that seemed inexpensive. But then once we lived here for a year and we started talking to other people, we realized that wasn't that inexpensive for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It was fully furnished, which also made a difference. Now we are paying 6,000 pesos less, which is much more comfortable for us, but we did have to, make an initial investment of getting some furniture in here because we had zero. We literally moved to Mexico City with just suitcases of clothes.
Right. Some of us have more suitcases of clothes than others. But in the long run, we feel this is the right decision for us because we get to personalize the apartment, and in the long run, over the course of the year, we will save some money. So that frees up a little bit of extra budget for travel, which is something we both want to do. And that was a big factor, as I said. So other factors for us in choosing Portales Sur.
I think one of the things that I mentioned earlier was that our friends would tell us, you're paying too much. And considering that we didn't want to be part of the problem of gentrification where we were paying more than was customary and driving rents up, we decided to look for a place that was more normie and that was still largely inhabited by Mexicans. So we could fit into Mexico more as locals than as expats, tourists, or gentrifiers.
Right.
We don't want to be that.
Recognizing that we're both immigrants here in Mexico City, but wanting to be not upset the delicate balance of Mexico City life for people who grew up here, who call this home, always called it home. Portales Sur is definitely one of those places where it's a family neighborhood. It's people that go to work every day. It's not by any means fancy, but it's also a very safe neighborhood. I'd say it's a very walkable neighborhood, and it is, as Alice said earlier, close to major public transportation hubs. So we can easily get to any part of the city that we'd like to within a short amount of time.
Having said that, we should also let you know that the restaurants that we like to go to are neighborhood restaurants where there are locals. They are not considered, you're not going to find them recommended on Facebook expats groups because they are very low key. And we often get the comida corrida, which is like what local working class people get, which is a pre-selected menu with different items that you choose from. It's very economical and also, in our experience, really good. So we like to do that. There is not a fancy coffee place or even a coffee place at all near our house right now. So for those of you who like to get your coffee made for you, you wouldn't find it here. We make our own coffee because when we wake up in the morning, that's the first thing we reach for. So we wouldn't even have time to get dressed and go get bougie coffee. And I do call it bougie coffee, okay? Because I don't want to spend like $5 on a cup of coffee.
Right.
And no Mexican does. I mean, well,
maybe
no,
some Mexicans.
Maybe some Mexicans do. But
not
yeah,
these Mexicans.
by and large, not this Mexican.
No yoga places. No, not that I've seen anyway.
And the only kind of nightclub that we've been to is a restaurant nearby called Los Monumentales, where we got some really good tacos, where they were a little more expensive than the comida corrida. We got some cocktails, and we listened to this band of older gentlemen playing rock songs from the 60s, and they had like just a house full of
older ladies
that were just like up dancing, and oh my god, it was so much fun.
So yes, it came with entertainment as well.
Yes, and there was this one woman, it was her birthday. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, but you have to know this. There was a woman, an older lady, older than me even, which is really cool that she was up dancing because this was the music of her youth. You could tell a lot of them were probably like hippie ladies, and they were getting into it, and she was doing these like crazy moves, and I was smiling at her, and she walked over to me and she said, "And I can stand on my head too."
This is the strangest pickup line I've heard in a while.
I kind of thought I thought she was hitting on me. It's
a little bit of a pickup line. Anyway, so if you want to get lucky and you're older, go to Los Monumentales. It is here in
Portales
Sur. I was going to say Polanco Sur. It's nothing like Polanco.
No.
All right.
And it was just really cool. Another really cool place that we hung out with our friends is the what's that rock and roll bar where they have the Marshall.
They have Marshall beer. So Sara made a little stack, her own Marshall stack. And
our friend Sara Norman she's always wanted a Marshall stack.
We can't insert that photo here. So I would say we've told you a little bit about the pros of living, or what we like about living here in Portales Sur. Let's talk a little bit about the cons. I'll start. I think it's a little bit of a sleepy neighborhood if you're somebody that's looking for nightlife, or you're looking for art galleries or exciting things to do. Portales Sur is probably not the place for you.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get into public transportation to get to those places, or you could take an Uber, but it's not right outside your door like some of the other neighborhoods.
There are some parties here.
I have to say though that because this is like a regular neighborhood, it's not relying so much on charm or what's going on outside. Everything works, like the kitchen works, the stove, the oven,
there's hot water in the shower.
There's hot water. There's
nice.
Everything works, and I am really a big fan of that. And I have an elevator. We're only on the second floor, which really in LA would be the third floor because they don't count the first floor.
And typical thing here in Mexico City in these types of apartment buildings where you have multiple units, there's 24-hour security. So they will let you in and out of the apartment, which was included in our rent actually
so
here.
it's included in our rent. But I feel like this is a super safe neighborhood. I've walked home after, being out with my girlfriends, and I walked home late at night. And by late, it's not that late, like 11 or 12. But it felt like I felt completely safe being out on my own, walking on the street in Portales Sur.
So we're still giving you pros. See, we're trying to give you cons, but
Oh,
it's all
sorry,
the stuff
it's
that's
hard.
important for us. I think
stuff that's important. The cons were like no coffee shops or yoga shops or art galleries or nightclubs that are really poppin'. They're more like quirky little nightclubs and quirky little bars, but
that could be really fun.
like that, like.
So there aren't a lot of cons for us. I think the cons would be if you're looking to move to Mexico City and you want nightlife, this is not the area for you.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit far from where you would consider the nightlife of Mexico City, which is Condesa, Roma Norte, Centro, and to a lesser extent,
Zona Rosa.
Zona
Also,
Rosa,
if you're
yeah.
queer, that's probably where you want to be.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about moving to Mexico City or even visiting Mexico City, we're going to put a link up here to a video that we made about different neighborhoods in Mexico City. So take a look at that because it'll give you a good overview of the flavor of each particular colonia or neighborhood here in Mexico City.
We're also going to be visited by a friend from Seattle who is looking for an apartment, and if we're lucky, he will let us film his journey, which we'll share with you in case I know he wants to move to Centro, but maybe he'll change his mind. You never know.
If you enjoyed the contents of this week's video, please give us a like. It helps tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to click that notification bell so that you'll be notified when we upload new videos. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you got to subscribe first. Subscribe first and then click that notification bell so you'll know when we upload a new video, which is typically every Thursday.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.